Star Wars, let's talk about the last episode of Loki, which was episode 4, because episode 5 comes out tomorrow night. Or tomorrow morning. Sorry, tomorrow, tonight, 12:01, whatever. We're in the second half of the season, which we said was important. The last 3 episodes we said were going to be important. Yeah. They're Loki and Sophie are rescued / captured from Lamentus 1 and taken back to the TVA.
They are not given their Rogue One moment.
They are not given their Rogue One. They're close to the Rogue, but that causes all the problems, which is how they get found and blah, 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 blah. So I don't know where you fall, but I still kind of feel like this episode is a little too much, Phil. There's more good stuff in this one than there was in episode 3.
I would say I feel better about the series after this one than I did after episode 3. Now,
sure.
What does that mean exactly? Well, I don't know. Because again, we have 2 more films that are 2 more episodes, and that's where it's like, okay, so how are you going to bring all this together? There were things in this one that I like. I like the kind of the, hey, don't you realize where they got all of you?
Right. When he actually tells them. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's sort of, I mean, it's corporate America, somewhat sinister and secretive. Anyway, so I thought it was a nice turn that I wasn't necessarily foreseeing. So I like that. I like when things go to a place that I didn't necessarily expect them to go to. And
are you talking about the end fight?
A lot of it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I still think they have a little distance to go to make Loki the kind of character that he is in the films, as far as the way we view him.
To get back to the films.
Yes.
Because again, like much like Black Widow, when we talked about that, Loki's not done in the MCU, so we have to somehow get back.
Yeah.
And then the question, of course, is he our Loki, or is he a variant? And does he know? Does he keep his knowledge of whatever? So they have 2 episodes to figure that out. How did you feel about the time cell portion of episode 4?
I don't know. I guess I was okay with it.
I kind of liked the idea.
Yeah.
I don't know that I cared for the execution. I think it was more of a reminder that Lady Sif isn't dead.
Sure.
In the actual MCU.
It was. I mean, yeah. So it's a little, I guess. I mean, it was silly. Yeah. But it was. I kind of like the cameo. I don't mind that. Maybe they overplayed it, but
a little bit, and they made Loki kind of whiny. I think, which is kind of the point of the time cell idea. I think they choose the memory, that they loop you through, but it doesn't always, I think, make sense at the beginning of your time in the time cell what you're supposed to do. But then he becomes, again, he starts as the defiant Loki, and he ends up as the kind of whiny Loki by the time that is done.
Yeah.
So I this weird not Loki that we're dealing with, we need Loki back. And again, we get him.
Again, I want him to be a threat. I want to have Loki say something, and rather than being a joke,
right?
I want to take him, seriously when he, I don't want this to be like Pinky in the Brain,
right?
Where Loki, basically, well, what are we going to do tonight, Loki? Well, I'm going to take over the universe, and then you go, well, you say that, but you never actually do it.
Right.
Where, I mean, so basically, I mean, it would be great to see Loki actually do something he sets out to do, even if it's a horrible thing that makes the character less likable.
Right, because that would be the character that we liked in the first place.
Particularly, yes. So I think, yeah. I mean,
he needs to be a villain again.
Well, or at
he's
least
not really a villain right now.
Or if not a villain, at least someone who really is interested only in what profits him. Which I guess maybe that's what a villain is to a certain extent. But otherwise, I mean, it's kind of like, why is it important that Han Solo shot first? Because he becomes someone. Han Solo is. Well, and he evolves, to a certain extent, and makes smarter decisions along the way, I guess, and things like that. So it's character development.
Sort of.
But still, deep in his heart, he is still the scoundrel, and
right.
Anyway, but
he will shoot first. Yes, sorry, tangent.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, it's important the part of Loki's evolution is that he typically makes very selfish decisions, and so when he doesn't make very selfish decisions, that should be a moment where you go, oh, well, that's different. And right. I don't know at this point that I don't have a good read on him. I told somebody that, I mean, in everything else, we may not know in that exact moment what Loki really feels, but within, by the end of whatever film, we know how Loki felt. What he honestly, what was BS and what was the truth.
Right.
We are still in the place in this series where I have no idea what is honest and what is BS. Yep. And I guess I would like. I don't need clarity necessarily, but I would like some sort of inclination on. I guess I just don't feel like I don't know what he wants. And I would like to know what he wants, because I think that's important to how I react to this aspect of his character's journey. What is it that he intends to do? Or is he just an opportunist that has no plan, who just lives by the, whatever comes? But I don't. He
has a goal and kind of a plan most of the time. But in this one, he really is just kind of winging it.
And I would think at some point, if he's the Loki that we think he is, he would actually have an ability to assess the world that he's in, and a way to determine a way that he can, profit from it.
Right.
He should be scheming to replace the lizard gods.
Which one would think that he actually is.
Yes, but we'll see.
Yeah, and speaking of the lizard gods, the timekeepers, we actually get to see them in this
amusement park.
All right. It's the Hall of Presidents. But the judge goes in first and gets talked to, and comes out scared and talks to Owen Wilson. And then at the end, Sophie and Loki are taken before the timekeepers to be pruned. And then there's a fight. And then there's a revelation, which really is a revelation of the same question we've been asking, which is who's driving this bus?
And it's still possible.
Exactly. We don't know.
It could still be giant lizard people.
Right. Or it could be one of the many other theories that are out there on the interwebs.
Yes.
And by many others, I mean one. There's like one theory on the internet. And we'll see. Because they want it to be that so that it can roll into phase 4 and that be the big bad for the next 10 films. But we don't know. And we will by the end of episode 6, I presume.
In theory.
Even if only we know in a post-credit scene. Even if the rest of the world doesn't know.
Sure.
Because, again, I hate to say timing because we've already established that time is irrelevant to this series for everyone except Loki. It's relevant to Loki because of where he sits in the chronology, but for everyone else, it's a non-factor. So, like I said, it'll be interesting to see whether Loki learns that, which I don't think he can, and then go back, or if just we are given that information. So it'll be interesting to see how they play that.
Sure.
But yes, I actually thought that I did not expect the Hall of Presidents as that answer. I thought it was more likely that no one was in there, that it was just an empty room, but they disabused us of that notion. There's something in there now. Again, who's driving the bus? We're still waiting to see. The post-credit scene, if you haven't heard by now.
Kind of important, but who knows?
But who knows? Don't listen. More variant Lokis show up in a New York-esque skyline that is decimated. But that's our scene after Loki is dismissed from the TVA, and then he pops up there. So that I'm sure is where we will pick up tomorrow/tonight when episode 5 drops. I agree with you. I feel better about the series after episode 4 than episode 3. I still think it could go horribly wrong.
Sure.
Or it could go horribly right. I don't know. I guess it all depends on what the end state is. If the end state is good, then then everything leading up to it will have had to have been good. But if everything's good up till a really crappy end state, then it doesn't matter. So that it all hinges on that big reveal at the end.
Sure.
Because they're either gonna reward the viewer's patience through this convoluted mess, or they're gonna squander what goodwill they had with the good bits that have come so far. So I guess we'll have to see tomorrow how that works, and we will talk about that when we get a chance to talk about that. So overall, are you on the upside or the downside for the remainder of this series?
I think on the upside for the moment. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see how it plays out. I'd like to think we are. Let's hope we are. So, because I don't want a downer. I don't want a bad taste in my mouth at the end of it. So, they pulled it out twice before, so hopefully they can get 3. There you go. That's it. Tomorrow, Loki episode 5. We will talk about that when we can. Next week, Space Jam comes out at the end of the week, I believe. We'll be seeing that and talking about it. There are other movies out. I actually have a list somewhere that I wrote down, and now I can't seem to find it, which is sad. But there it is. Oh yes. Speaking of Disney, Jungle Cruise will be coming out at the end of July. So who's not looking forward to Emily Blunt in an adventure movie with The Rock? And in August, The Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how that goes. And after that, we have a lot of stuff coming out. I'm actually, can I say this really quick? You're going to hate me for this. I'm actually kind of intrigued by Snake Eyes. There.
Yeah, I said it. Okay. I don't have an issue with that.
I saw the trailer and I was like, huh.
No,
that doesn't look nearly as terrible as it could.
No. And then just don't forget that the Green Knight's also coming out.
That is correct. And as an Arthur nut, I am ashamed of myself for having forgotten that. Is it do we have a date for that?
Yeah, it's the end of this month, I believe.
Oh, good. Hopefully we get to screen that, because I will definitely want to talk about it then. So there you go. We have movies coming out. We are really happy to be back in theaters, and we hope you are as well, if you are someplace where you can watch them. So till we get back to you with the next big set of releases, I am Mark. That's Ryan. Bye, Ryan.
See you guys.
Take it easy, everybody.